Welcome to Now Be You podcast. This is a space for women who lead, create, and carry responsibility and who want to stay grounded, clear, and true to themselves while doing it. I'm Leonora Be You, a mentor in embodied leadership and personal transformation. And in these conversations, we go beyond achievements and titles to explore the real turning points, doubts, and choices that guide us back to who we truly are. I continue these conversations in Now Be You Substack, where I share reflections and guided practices to help you slow down, think clearly, and reconnect with yourself. Today, I'm in conversation with Shani Lehrer, who is a strategic consultant and the founder of Sound Sanctum. She is the pioneer of the inner geopolitics method, working with world leaders, creators, and change makers. Today, we explore what it really means to lead from the inside out. So welcome, Shani. It's so beautiful to have you here in Ibiza.
Thank you, Leonora. It's so beautiful to be here in Ibiza and in your beautiful weather and nature.
Yes.
And energy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And let's dive deeper into this inner leadership story. I know that you are working with really powerful people and you yourself carrying such a strong energy around you, you always feel like, oh, she really knows what she's doing and she can guide a big army. This is how I would describe you energetically. So by doing this, I know that there is a story behind. So could you please share a little bit what was happening for you, which inner wars or transformations you was going through before you started to lead and really guide so many strong leading people?
Life happened.
Life happened.
And more of life happened. And to answer your question, I mean, there have been so many turning points, which at each of them, there is a fine-tuning, an alignment, a growth. And I feel one of my big quests from when I was a child still was the question of what separates us. So I would constantly ask my parents when they were arguing, why are you fighting? And why are there camps between mommy and daddy, and sometimes mom and dad and me, and sometimes mom's family and dad's family, and sometimes the Christian community and the Jewish community and the Muslim community, who each have their, little bubbles. And as a child, I always wanted to bridge that. So I always said to my parents when they asked me, what do you want to become when you grow up? I said, I want to become the President of the United States. I have a bit of
ambitions,
ambitions, but also I have really good competition right now. So
everything is possible.
Exactly. No, but I said I want to be the president because when I am the president, I will make sure that people love each other and that they don't have little groups, but everybody can communicate together and love each other and be happy together. And later in life, through stories that we probably don't have time over a podcast to share, but I found that the bridging that I was looking for to do outside between my parents first and then between the whole world was actually much closer and much more intimate and lived inside me. And I had a healing on a certain day, and I didn't do these things. I was very invested in a normal life, and I had a healing with a woman who reminded me things that I knew as a child, which I had put away in favor of being normal and of fitting in. And so all the parts that I divorced, in order to be able to function in society and tick off the boxes that I learned were the right thing to do. And so that was one of the big turning points, because what happened then is when she reminded it to me in a very visceral way, I couldn't keep denying or talking about that peace that I'm going to achieve out there, because I realized that there were parts of myself which were completely exiled. And it was time to start to own them again, or to maybe not own them as much as reunite or bring them to the table or help them to communicate with each other.
And it's so resonating this story for me as well. I'm just, we seeing this reflection in each other. And I just remember myself being also kind of a bit strange girl in my childhood, seeing, the future of other people, seeing their sickness and death. And, I would predict that and it would happen and their souls would come into my dreams. And that would be, it was a very scary place for me especially when you are a child, don't see other people doing that and feeling that and seeing that. And on top of that, you don't have explanation from your parents who are, of course, bless them, they just can explain that the weather might change or something will happen out there, but not inside. So my dream was also to be as normal as possible, to put aside all these, let's say, inner talents that we call, and be normal. But the moment when it happened, as you said, it was triggered by somebody else to remember who we truly are, why I was like that, and what is in that story so powerful that I would like to look at. And the scariest moment when we have to reclaim our power back and really revisit it, those moments where it was scary for us. Yes. And it's a part of us. So I wanted to ask you this. What was maybe a moment, that event that you faced as yourself, as your past self, and was super scary for you to accept?
I think it was my superpowers.
Here we go.
It comes out in the most natural. Mm-hmm. My intuition, this knowing that we have also as women, very very much so. I know, I don't know why. I know, but I don't know why. So I can't explain, can't give you the peer-reviewed proof of why it is this way. But I do know consistently that when I follow that, good things happen.
Yes.
And miracles happen. But I can't explain it. Therefore, in the world where you must prove things in order for them to be real, you are, considered weird or considered unacceptable or considered crazy.
Yes.
The story of the classical witch hunt.
Exactly.
Is the story of, where is that coming from? This must be crazy.
Exactly.
What is your new idea? This is another crazy. And I feel that the most difficult was, and in a way I was lucky in that, but and I'll explain why. The most difficult was to actually start to rewire myself to follow that after not having done so for such a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm saying lucky because such a long time was I was only 25 when this happened.
Yeah.
In a way.
And it's never
for
too
our
late.
generation, children born today are open.
Yes, yes.
And, in a way we have the gift of having been away, I don't know how you feel about that, but having been away from those gifts to see what they're not.
Exactly.
And to be able to reclaim them. Yes. Is very, very scary within a society, a system, sometimes a family that expects you to be, in the mold and don't change too much because that challenges the status quo, and the status quo is safe, even if it's willful, blind, and painful.
Yes. And look at that, as you say, the children are being born already totally in a different consciousness and frequency and understanding. But our generation, I see as a bridging point.
Yes.
And that's why you are where you are, I am where I am, working with leading people and trying to remind, not teach, to reconnect with inner leadership. So I would like to direct a little bit us into that work you are doing so precisely. And I know that these powerful people sometimes have a missing point between having the strength and leading out there, but it might be happening a lot of work inwardly. How you direct and what you advise and how you guide people in order to understand that those two worlds has to get together.
Again, I consider myself very lucky because those who I meet already understand that there is a split somewhere.
Yes.
And come ready to bridge it, to bring awareness to it, and to do the work necessary in order to make peace, if you will, between the sides, which is the inner geopolitics piece, which is where we bring everybody to the boardroom, all of the sides, all of the voices, those that have been less heard and more heard, and everybody gets a place at the table, so that they don't fight for each other's survival by taking each other out, and then it gets expressed into the business. So how do I inspire the powerful people? I think, everybody is very, very powerful, and they will, I've met, I don't need to preach to those who don't want to change.
Exactly.
And we see that systems are failing. We see that the world is in chaos. And from what I've observed in 20 plus years now, in big business with very powerful leaders, is that it all comes down to what's happening within them. So look at the success or the well-being that an organization spreads in the world, and it will tell you everything about the well-being of the founder. Upgrade the well-being of the founder and the whole culture and the whole output and everything it touches down there. And I say down there, down the line of the production or the information flow or the different flows that happen through a business. Well-being brings well-being. Chaos breeds chaos, and it becomes more as it passes through. It's like when we have a group of people around the table, and you say a little secret in the ear, and then it comes out as something else, amplified or further away from that. So I point back inside. Everything's happening out there. This is happening to me. This is what my team is doing. It comes back to, okay, what's happening here? And I've seen many times here in the person realizing their conflict with their mother solved, healed, and nurture flowing down into the line of the business.
How does that, let's say, how do you bring this clarity to a leader, especially a woman leader who's leading her family, her vision, her career? What is one biggest mistake a woman does when she's in this leading position? What is exactly to see?
Well, you're the expert in that piece. And I would turn that question right back at you. And I would say that from the clues that I'm seeing, and I've also done myself, because I was I had a corporate career till my 25th. I started at 19 when I was still in university, and I went till 25, and I was in big business. And, the override and the showing up and putting the big girl pants on, and barreling through, I say warring through sometimes, in order to get the deal done, in order to, be the best in the team, in order to, all of these traits that deny for a woman her cyclical nature, her joy, her womb. And I'm going to turn the question back to you, because I feel with you and in your presence that this is definitely a superpower that not only you embody, but also you share and inspire. I've been inspired in the past 2 days of our time together to go deeper into that space, and how needed it is in the world right now to bring in that energy.
It is so beautiful what you are saying, and thank you so much for all the compliments and reflections you are giving to me, because I feel the same next to your energy, that, to be a strong woman, it's not about to be masculine or to be driven by mind. The strength, what the world is really asking us right now to face and look at ourselves especially as feminine creature, is to lead from within. And this energy from within, it never comes from your head, never comes from competition, never comes from forcing something. It comes from nourishing and being aware and being in pause and creating from within. And only then you can express something else, yeah? And same like you, I've been in in show events organizing and like really big business where I was super busy and trying to achieve my success throughout forcing power. You know, that's mental power, standing up and equalizing everybody and acting from the same mental energy as a man would do. And this is where I missed the point. This is where the burnout started to come. This is where deception and misunderstanding within myself happened. And the moment I reconnected with this nourishing power, everything started to flow and happen outside. So as you mentioned about the leading power, yeah, and what is happening, that if you look at the company and you see the reflection, what the leader is creating from within, how is these moments, for example, for people, I really see a lot of busy leaders who say, yeah, I understand everything what you're saying. It's totally true, but I don't have time right now. Look, everything is falling apart. I need to go and do something about that world, which is reflecting me outside. What do you do at that moment? How do you redirect that energy?
So I come very strong. When they come to me, they've given me permission to be very direct and clear. And in a moment like that, and you must know that too, I believe, is we know that sometimes the 5 or 10 minutes of presence gains us 3 hours in the day. Now, if I'm in crisis mode and all of my energy is in the mental, and I'm completely disconnected from my body, this means, in a business, for example, that all of the energy is directed at the financial part, but we've completely forgotten to give service. Or we are completely busy on a geopolitical level to do the image, to work on the PR, but we've completely forgotten that we have to take care of the humans in our country.
Yes.
And so that split is the same split, and the universe, I will say, or you know, in general, a business needs balance. Our body needs balance. So I encourage willful balance, a choice to say, okay, we are in crisis, and now I'm taking 10 minutes to connect. Now, this will mean different things for different businesses and different people. But to connect, to sense, to feel, to see, to use the mind, but to use it in a way that is directed and not a snowballing effect of the previous unconscious thought.
When you say to connect, is it to connect within the creator within you, or is it connect with the essence of business? How?
All of it. It's to connect with my body and my state in the moment.
Yes.
Through that, I can connect with the state of my team and see what's going on. Through that, they can then bring presence and sense what is actually happening in their, different departments. And from that, it goes into the products and the services. Now, there are 2 ways that we can function. Run the rat wheel of fixing the earthly situation. The situation with the business, the situation with the geopolitical situation, the situation with a body that needs fixing or healing. Or there is working on the root cause of it. The root cause can only be accessed through pause and space. Because of the amount of fear and drama that's feeding the fear, we are afraid to stop, while actually the remedy is in taking a breath. And this will look for every organization completely differently. For some, it is about human resources and care. For others, it is about healthy finances. For others, it's about services and products that are actually benefiting and doing what they promised they'd do, and not just enriching the company itself. For others, it's asking questions about, is the information I'm capturing ethical? For others, it's about, is the image I'm projecting actually the truth? Or is it what I think will sell? And so on and so forth. And we can either be in the automated, continuing to create that, or we can look and redirect.
Redirect. And this is very interestingly reflection, of what's happening right now in the world. Yeah, I'm looking at people, and it's really so strongly disbalance our nervous system nowadays. And in order to, let's say, rebalance the nervous system, you need to stop. This is what you exactly mentioned. You need to become a healer to yourself. Allow that healing energy to come in your system. So it's a little bit, not a little bit, but this exact reflection for the world, for the systems, for the companies, whatever we are talking about. But where is the power when everything is disbalanced in the system, your nervous system or the business system? Where to take that power to stop that inertia?
First of all, by actually wanting it over the known pain, the comfortable pain, the noise that we're so used to that we don't hear it anymore. Secondly, by consciously bringing awareness to what needs to be seen, I will say healed, and transmuted into a new way of being. It's a choice. There's no other. There is choice in every moment, on and off, right or left, black or white. Now the question is, who's choosing?
Exactly.
Within me.
Exactly.
Is it my survival instinct that is afraid of death, that thinks there's not enough, that is in scarcity, that is the lower ego, I would call it? Or is it my super powerful creator?
Yes.
Who believes and knows that when I bring my creativity and my consistent action into something, then I will, by bringing trust into it too, good things are bound to happen.
Exactly. This is where it is just directing the attention to a certain point, whatever you want to shift to make it happen is already happening. Because for me, this powerful phrase that the energy, first of all, want to be seen in order to be liberated.
Yes.
Only seeing it. So when I'm looking at my life personally and I'm seeing something is looping, something is repeating, the same event through a different people, the same feeling within me, no matter who's standing in front of me, something is looping inside of me that I have to look at, even though the whole nervous system, all of my back mind trying to pull me out from there, because it might be painful, it might be unpleasant, it might be not the time, but only when I decide as a creator, okay, if I'm a leader here in this movie, can I just stop for a moment and just focus on that looping situation that caused so much ripple effect around me, so much noise that I constantly trying to be busy and fix from outside. And that moment, when you stop, when I stop, when everybody stops in their world, in their creation, magic happens. That pause starts to liberate the looping energy, and you start to say, I'm not a victim, nobody's fault, I am creator, and I can save myself from one, put myself to another direction. This is what you exactly beautifully reflected about working with the leaders. But internally, it is one little moment. The moment you see it's a loop, it's repeating, that's a sign for you to stop and pause.
Yeah. And then there will be new choices coming.
Yeah.
And when the choices come, I always ask, who's choosing? And whenever there's a me there, me, that's usually not the right answer.
How to hear this answer? Can you go a little bit deeper?
So I'm going to backtrack and talk about the negative ego, the negative side of the ego, or the unconscious. So we all have the conscious, and then we have a little big soup of our own, but also collective, under the radar not conscious,
Internet,
which mostly runs our decisions. So, first of all, I need to understand that that exists. Then I can consciously bring light into the dark cellar down there. Now, there's beautiful news. Most people are afraid to look in the cellar because they're afraid of the Pandora's boxes that are there, and of the family trauma and the secrets and the lies and the hiding and the masks and so many things that many people have.
Yes.
So they muster the courage, they bring in some consciousness into the cellar, and they realize not only they can see the dust finally that needs to be cleaned after so many years, but they realize there are magnificent works of art that have been sitting there to rot in the cellar. And these extraordinary gifts and superpowers and passions that have been neglected come too. Now, most people prefer keep the cellar closed and never clean the dust out there because it looks more scary than the gift of the beautiful inner gifts that exist there. Courageous humans, the leaders we meet, I imagine, are those who go there.
Yes.
And who courageously put on their clothes that can get dirty and maybe some mask for protection from the dust and go in and do the cleaning. And come back with treasures of gold, of inner gold. Then the next level becomes, because we are so conditioned and the unconscious is so conditioned to its own survival, the retraining or the rewriting of how we function with, now I have all of this new gold, but I'm still used to functioning in the previous way.
Yes.
So the training becomes to ask, who am I in every moment? Am I here to serve life with my creation? Now, I don't need to be the big altruistic person who doesn't care for myself, because sometimes caring for myself is the gift.
Exactly.
Because how can I serve from an empty cup, as you know very well, and as we've been working through in the past 2 days together. So, who is making the choice right now? And and there's a difference in the energy. You know it. We know when we're doing our own ego thing, and when we're cutting corners, and and we know because there's an expansive yesness when we are doing what we're doing. Of course, because we love it and because it brings us joy. But there's an extending in it. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily the safe. It's not the unsafe. It's is there a greater than just me in it?
Does it not, this question, I do believe it opens the space of vulnerability. And we are talking here, which is also a big misunderstanding between vulnerability and being strong.
Yes.
So my question would be, this leading position always requires strength.
Yes.
And how could you describe strength with vulnerability?
It's a great question. It is where the warrior and the healer meet.
Beautiful.
It's where the directed, I know who I am and why this business exists, or why I'm leading this country, or why I'm leading this charity. I know there's a why here for me. Mm-hmm. And in it, there must be nurture for myself and for others. So the healer comes out and gives light and gives love and gives present. And the warrior knows how to say a very firm, no, this is not a lie. So I can be the kindest person, but not as an identity, which means I will never hurt anyone, even if they come to kill me.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So there's the balance between the warrior and the healer, the masculine and the feminine, the nurturer and the boundary holder, and the direction giver. And we have them all in ourselves, and then we, of course, find humans with which we have polarity, with who we can create with. I have goosebumps saying this.
Yes, exactly.
Right? And we have that.
And this is the position, because so many times there is a misunderstanding between leaders as healers and leaders who are just having a moment to bring back or to remember their power again. So it's not about teaching, it's more about remembering and maintaining a space for someone who's regaining their power, inner power.
Yes, sometimes it's
Superpower.
forgetting all of the
Totally.
all of the negative masks. And the most powerful leaders that I have met are able to say, I made a mistake, I'm sorry.
But that's the power.
I'm sorry, I hurt you. To their CFO. I'm sorry, I was too harsh. To their driver that's been driving them for 20 years.
Yes.
I've never taken you out for coffee. I've not seen that there are humans around me, and I've never. There's a level of interconnectivity that becomes born when it happens here, and then the person cleaning my house or driving my car or building my next website or running the company's finance, they're all part of this one big family.
Yes.
And as I honor in myself all of my parts, I honor in each and every one their gift, contribution, with a fair and healing and loving exchange, and with direction, and with boundary.
And it is so clear when someone is leading from within, you understand that this awareness, the one you are mentioning, what's happening outside, when we are aware about other people, we are really caring, but not leaving ourselves behind. This is what happens when you are becoming nourishing, healing towards yourself, then the whole world of yours starting to receive healing naturally with so much patience, awareness, and consciousness. And that would be a question for you when you are looking at all this world, when it's starting to flourish and to happen. What's happening when you see your work flourishing? When you see, okay, my intention, my vision to this company, to this leader, is to receive this beautiful flourishing around him or her or the company. And when you see it starting to happen, when you see that the pattern has been broken, what's happening inside of you as that supportive system?
So first of all, usually I'm relieved because it goes through a period that it's not so easy because the old patterns break down.
Yes.
So usually it comes with a relief. But there's so many moments within the process where there's a new realization, a deeper connection, a willingness to take a courageous choice that wasn't on the table before, a willingness to be more honest with themselves and with what they serve. And every one of those is, I love it. It brings me so much joy to witness humans reclaiming their real power.
Yeah.
It's the real power versus the destructive, take from others, hurt others power, which most of our capitalistic lifestyle is built on. And I'm not saying, there are good things in the system, and yet, right now when we look at the fruits, humans don't have privacy. We take from each other with no permission. Not we, but as humans, as humanity. We don't agree with each other, so we hurt each other because we don't. We badmouth each other. We say horrible things about each other rather than leaning in and saying I'm hurt. Or or we cancel, we gaslight, we do so many things that are that work of the subconscious, of the ego. It's like it gets too painful, so instead of leaning in, we run.
Yes,
and we harm more, and then the cycle of harm continues. And then the spin doctors sit in the back to how to create the next lie that is bigger than the first lie.
Yes.
And the truth is so simple, and the healing is so simple. But it requires the willingness for each of us to own the fact that, I'm not perfect. My business is not perfect. The empire I've built has some quicksand underneath, and sometimes it topples. The image I have is based on so much truth, but also,
And facing this is not about feeling guilty or bad.
Or shame.
Shame. It's just to own it and see
But
this.
then it gives permission for everyone
Exactly.
else to be... When the world has idols in the form of people who are living a false identity,
Yeah.
then we learn, because it's top down, right?
Yes.
Then we learn that this is the way to be. Then we all need to hide more of who we really are.
Exactly.
And of our shortcomings, because I need to become like this. So, inner geopolitics says, whatever that is, I feel, whether it's mine or not, and if I have a no, I will connect with the higher version of what masculine is, or what feminine is, or what healer is, or what warrior is, or what business leadership is, or what motherhood is, or what familyship is.
And I will recreate.
And I will recreate it, and I will do it no matter what anyone says, no matter what my parents may think. And I love them, I'm not canceling them. I'm just going to do it. Because why? Because this is what I know. I may make mistakes.
Exactly.
I may make mistakes. I may unwillingly hurt people on the process.
Mm-hmm.
And if I do, I will stop and I will redirect. And I will ask, who is doing the doing? Is it the little me, the little ego that needs for itself and is afraid and needs to hide and or is it love doing the doing?
And you're talking about the space of authenticity, which we are so overusing that word, but this is a courage to be that, what you're talking. So this place of being authentic, daring to be authentic, even you see all the examples around you that might misalign you. What is the biggest mistake talking about authenticity?
It's not doing it.
Exactly.
It's just not doing it. Where we relax so much when we can just
Be ourselves.
be as we are. Now, of course, what the negative ego wants to do with that is pull us down.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, now we can relax, so we can, not eat healthily and not.
Yes.
So that's the opposite of it. So it's not either or in terms of how we do it. It's who's doing it.
Exactly.
In me. Because if my highest and most, I wanted to say exotic, being is showing up, then, naked honesty will bring more beauty, more glory, more love, more co-creation.
Naked honesty with yourself and others.
Of course. In safe spaces, of course.
So could you share one naked honest with yourself that really was a turning point for you, becoming more of yourself?
There've been so many turning points. The most recent one was a very, very painful betrayal in one of my lowest times in my life. And my instinct and my, when we get really hurt by people we love, the instinct is to blame.
Mm-hmm.
And this was probably one of the greatest invitations to look at all the ways in which, of course, the person had done what they had done. And the opportunity for me was to see all the ways in which I had enabled that to happen, not by choosing for them to do this horrible thing,
Exactly.
but by allowing many times an override of myself, by giving more than I was supposed to, or than I had.
Exactly.
By not telling myself the truth when I saw the signs out there. So it's not only telling the truth to others, it's also telling ourselves the truth about what is fed into our system, and it's the same at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I wish I could say that the most magical story was my biggest awakening, but actually the most painful story in my life was the bigger story of awakening. And I believe that, and we both share this in teachings,
Yes.
that it doesn't have to be so painful in order for us to wake up.
Yes.
We can learn. So an example I use a lot is if someone has a sugar addiction,
Yes.
and she says, okay, I just do the sugar, and and they know that if they continue to eat sugar, they may have a heart attack. But they keep eating the sugar until the heart attack comes, and then the heart attack comes, but then they turn a blind eye, and and then the heart attack comes, and then an operation comes, and then we have to. But then there's another way to deal with that same situation, which is I recognize my craving for the sugar, I want to go to the sugar, and I stop. And I sit with a very painful emotion of saying no to myself and choosing life over the risk that this thing, which I'm aware of, holds. And it's the difference between living from our knowing down and being present. And when we're present for 15 minutes with this craving, it goes away. Yeah. And something else replaces it, and it's much healthier.
And sometimes people say that, oh, I don't have a will. You are telling me this, but it's not for me. But the good thing is like, okay, for example, you are not in the state of doing this right now, facing that craving and staying alone with yourself. But maybe you can surround yourself with healthy people and surround yourself with healthy life stories once a week, going somewhere where people are eating healthy, doing sports, going in the nature, and you kind of get infected in a good way by these people, yeah? So there are so many ways, like for example, just hang out or just hire someone who is gonna give you a different point of view about life. There are so many ways. If you don't believe that you can do it by yourself, there are always support around you. Just direct your attention to a different kind of choice you want to make and choose these people from that area of life. Yeah. And this is how we get inspired by each other. And this is where we can change our consciousness and lifestyles. So by saying that, I want to ask you a last question, but not the least, is what would be one short exercise practice for the listeners to really start shifting that reality from where is still the rat race happening into something where they want to create and be in a higher self?
Do I have permission to give two?
Sure. always. The more the merrier.
So the first thing I would say would be when the rat race takes over, in crisis, for example, or in drama that happens in life, be it an external one or very close, stop and take a breath. Just that. And sense what's happening in your body, in your nervous, and just stay there for a moment. And imagine there was a little child seeking attention here, and just be with it for a moment. And see what happens and how it shifts just by the mere fact you gave it. And I would do that for 5 minutes, if necessary. Just stop and then go back after a breath to the next action that needs to be done. The second thing I would recommend, and this is not in the crisis itself, it's more like a general practice, and maybe we can do this together for a moment. It is to recognize the difference in energy between yes and no. Mm-hmm. Between living life from a yes open position and a no closed, everything is scary position. And what is really useful to do in that is to close our eyes and just think no for a few moments. We don't have to close our eyes here, but if we just think no, immediately energetically there's if we do no here in ourselves, this is for the listeners too, there is a contraction, there is a closing, and then if we check out the energy for a moment and we go into yes. And all of the yes in every way, and we can repeat to ourselves yes a few times. And immediately the energy opens, and there is a relief and a relaxation. And this yes can also say no if it needs to say no. It doesn't mean I will always say yes.
Yes.
What I really encourage is to wake up in the morning and take a few moments to put myself in yes, because yes invites more consciousness, more of who I am, and if I'm allowed, more miracles as well.
And this is where it protects you from overstepping your own boundaries first. And of course, protecting yourself from outside world to overstep your intimate space from where you create.
Correct. But not because I need to fend off.
Yes.
But because I know where I begin.
Yes.
And where I end. And where we meet and we are eternal.
Thank you so much for such a wonderful conversation. I do believe this inspiration will take a lot of insights in your daily life and your moment with yourself. And all I wish to all of us to keep on growing, expanding, and discovering ourselves. To be continued.
Thank you.
Thank you. And question to you, dear listeners, what are you taking from this conversation? Please share your thoughts in the comments. If this conversation resonated, I share deeper reflections and guided audio practices in Now Be You Substack, a space to slow down, think clearly, and reconnect with yourself in the middle of a full life. Few times a year, we bring this work into real life through carefully curated retreats where leading women step away from the noise, reflect, and return with clarity and renewed direction. Subscribe to Now Be You Substack and find out more. Until next time, stay yourself.